Happy Wednesday, everybody. I wanted to have a little bit of a chat on why I've been gone, and personally, I think Scale Trains is kind of going downhill in quality, and they're kind of sort of lying to their customers, and I wanted to have a chat about it. I have been running into a bunch of issues the last few weeks when it comes to quality of models, and there's some changes going on in my life. My wife and I are looking at possibly purchasing a new house in the next couple of years, and quite frankly, the locomotive review business isn't what it once was, and unfortunately I'm just spending too much money. So I'm going to be selling off a bunch of my collection and giving up the review thing. I put a good solid year into it and tried to get something put together, but it just didn't pan out, so it is what it is. But before I go, I want to talk about a couple of manufacturers and some things that I've been running into that have really been bothering me, and there's a few things that really have been pretty awesome. And before we jump into the stuff that's really bothering me, I want to talk about Broadway Limited. You see the big boy passing you right here, and another one right here, as well as the Y8B right here. I was so impressed with the big boy, the 4014 right here. I picked up another one just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. These engines have been absolutely excellent. A little bit of an issue with the smoke system. I can't find a good smoke fluid, at least locally where I live, that's easy to get and functions well with these. Really not a big deal. It's not something that I'm personally interested in. But man, have these things been awesome. The sound on them is top notch. The speed control is top notch. The pulling power is almost perfect. I really wish they would have done the same thing on the big boys that they did on the Y8B, but there's only one set of drivers on this that have the O-ring for, the grip. And in certain circumstances, especially pulling a heavy load where you're making a transition into a grade, you lose a little bit of pulling power when that O-ring comes off the rail. It's a long engine. If the grades aren't perfectly smooth in the transition, you lose that traction, you're dead in the water, these things spin out. Y8B, on the other hand, awesome. 100%. Just excellent engine. Not as visually as impressive as the big boy, personally. Sound system's excellent. Pulling power is top notch. Drivetrains on all of these are relatively quiet, although the Greyhound version over here is still breaking in. It's still a little bit louder than all of these. But hundreds now of hours on all of these. I put them on the rails and I let them run when I go to work. Come back, they're still running. These things have been excellent. And Broadway is really up in their game lately, especially in their steam engine stuff. Not to mention, I haven't done a review. I wanted to do a review, but the F7 units that they have are absolutely top notch. The sound is a little bit wonky, but F units kind of have an odd sound to them. They're really not super pleasant to listen to. It's just kind of high RPM all the time, but the sound does work good in most circumstances. The load control works awesome. They're great. All the new Paragon 4 stuff, other than that Gevo, I'm not really excited about the body that's on it, but the internals are excellent. Broadway is just kicking it right now. They are awesome, and I love to recommend them because they're awesome to work with. When you have a problem, they get back to you quickly. When you start an email chain, it takes about 24 hours to get a response, but once you get that response, it's just bing, bang, boom. They're constantly talking back to you. Unlike some other companies that every time you message them, it's another 24 hours before someone gets back to you. So solving an issue takes a long time. Broadway currently, in my opinion, has best in the business customer service. If they have an issue, they get it handled. If you have a specific issue with an engine, like you send something in or you're running into a programming error, they talk to you and make sure that that gets handled. I had to send an engine back to get something worked on. They verified the problem and made sure the problem didn't exist on the one they were sending me. They just talk to you, they make sure things are handled, and that's why I always recommend them. Not that they make the best engines out there, but they have the best customer service out there, bar none. Now what I really want to talk about. Scale Trains is going downhill. They were once best in the business for everything, not the case anymore. I have had so many engine failures from them in the last 6 months, it's unreal. I finally got my Gettle back. A little bit of a backstory. Had some issues with my ESU. If you guys haven't been on my channel for a while, I was running a cab control system. Then I went to an ECOS. It was burning up decoders like nobody's business. Great for HO. Piece of shit for N-scale stuff. Absolutely piece of shit. Do not use them for N-scale. They say they're fine. They burn up their own decoders. I've been running a TCS system. I have probably 1,000 hours of runtime. I mean, this thing is on non-stop for the last 4 months. So what is that? 10 plus hours a day, 90 days. I mean, yeah, it's 900 hours. So, I mean, we got a lot of runtime on these things, right? I bought the Gettle. This is an endgame engine for me. And I had the A unit burn up. Had to send it back on my own dime, even though it was brand new, to get it fixed. Bought it from Lombard Hobby. Got it back, verified that it functioned, and to be quite honest, I thought the A engine was acting a little bit weird. It wasn't quite synced up and what have you. So I boxed it up, and I didn't want to run it until I got my ESU system figured out. I finally came around to just replacing it, got my TCS system, and I was ready to do my review on it. I wanted to pull it out, put some runtime on it, get a couple of weeks of solid, long-term running, short-term in the yard, because it kind of has a neat thing where you can run on the diesel or switch over to the turbine, and it kind of changes the way the engine functions a little bit. I was ready to do all that. B unit failed in the box. Not even 15 minutes of runtime from when I got it back from Scale Trains. And both of these units were in to get checked out. Also, the tender is wonky. I can't seem to get the light to work properly. Sometimes it functions, other times it doesn't. And I thought it was maybe just DC, but it's not. Like, it was working directional control, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe I had it functioning kind of on my old ECOS system. Now it doesn't work on the TCS. I don't know what's up with that. For context, I had to go grab my other throttle. Both of my engines on my Gettle, decoder failures. I got some operator GEVOs. I got 2 of them. One of them, right from the factory, had wires that were crimped, causing odd issues. I just fixed that myself, but pain in the butt. The other one was acting wonky. After a little bit of time, decoder and possibly motor failure on that. Not totally sure. Had to send it in to get it repaired. Got the other one back. Had some wonky issues. Ended up just reflashing it with a just a bone stock, on the lock programmer. Functioned pretty good after that. Still have those 2 GEVOs. Really like them. They've been great for me. They have relatively quiet motor systems, but issues right from the factory. I then get my rivet counter GEVO, and from the factory, weird issues, possibly decoder related for sure. Weird thing with the sound would want to shut off. I had to change some weird settings in the lock programmer to get that to function, which the average person can't do because those things are expensive. And then it had this weird squealing noise that would happen anytime the engine would come to a stop. And if you go check out my review on that, I show it in there. Ended up sending it back to them. Got an engine back as a replacement. Didn't function out of the box. Could not make it work. All the lights and sound worked. Couldn't make the engine move. Had to totally put a new sound file on it, and then it would function. So for the average person, that would have been another send back. This was a warranty return engine, and it still didn't function. And I had the same issue with the operator GEVO a couple weeks earlier. Not to mention, this happened just, what the heck? So I thought I'd give them a couple more chances. They make the nicest engines out there. It's just what it is. But I had 2 -9s on pre-order. I had one NS with the standard cab, which I was really excited about. And I had this Santa Fe that's about to roll around here. You can see it right there. It'll be here in a moment. It's the weathered Santa Fe with the BNSF patch. I had it on there. I was really excited to get them because I've been wanting a Santa Fe -9. Thought it'd be a really cool review. Anyway, here we are. The NS1 is acceptable. It has one ditch light that's a little bit dim, kind of wonky. Sucks, but I get it. Stuff happens. The -9 you're about to see pull around here didn't function. The snowplow was hanging so low on one side, anytime it would go into a corner, or just the minute little bump in the rail, thing bottomed out and was stuck. You could see where it had been clipping the rail, like it was cutting on the plastic a little bit. Contacted Scale Trains, took 3 or 4 days to get that situation figured out. Finally, they sent me a return label, and at the same time, I was having issues with this B unit, so I sent them both back at the same time. A few days later, they tell me, yep, okay, we'll send you a replacement unit, and see what I got right here. Now, this unit runs, but it has exactly the same issue that I talked about. You probably can't see it on camera here, but the left-hand side of the snowplow hangs so low that it scrapes on the rails. And if I get this just right, you might be able to see there's kind of some notches on there where the plastic has been catching the rails and it's been chipping away the paint a little bit. Now it runs, but your track work has to be absolutely perfect. And quite frankly, the fronts of these things are very detailed. So to get in there, remove the snowplow, and put it back on in the proper position without breaking something, especially for a guy like me that's shaky, is next to impossible. And it really pisses me off when I send something in, talking about an issue, and then getting exactly the same thing back, and they have nothing to say about it. You should be checking these things before they leave the door. And I ordered these directly from Scale Trains. This isn't like it came from a retailer. This is right from Scale Trains. When I send something in and I have an issue, make sure what you're sending me back doesn't have the same frickin' issue. And then I want to talk about quality, because I just got the new turbine, because that was my other pre-order. And now I've completely canceled every pre-order that I've had with Scale Trains. I'm done with them. They need to prove to me that they're going to start creating products like they used to, because the quality's gone downhill substantially and they're charging us more money. Now, I realized that this might be a bit of a bias. All of my older Gevos and all of my older -9s were bought used, new, old stock, whatever you want to call them, from eBay. So there is a bit of a bias there, meaning those engines already ran. I knew they were in a working state. It wasn't like I was ordering them from the manufacturer. But I've had zero issues with any of those. And so there's a bit of a bias there. I understand what's happening. But let's just quickly take this unit, for example. Absolutely gorgeous. This thing is perfectly put together. And look at the trucks. They have excellent paint detail. They have just a little bit of metallic flake in them. They're beautiful. They look absolutely gorgeous. They have been the prides of my collection for a long time. And I've been meaning to do a review on them for a long time, but I was waiting for this to come out so I could compare. Look at this piece of garbage. See the trucks on that? They look plasticky. They're not nearly as sharp or as detailed. They haven't been painted. They are just like when I talked about the rivet counter Gevo that I've got over there. The trucks are nicely painted, but the brake lines and the mechanism for the high adhesion was still kind of the resin color. And it looked cheesy. And I mentioned in that, I was like, that's kind of cheesy. Like they should be painting them like they do the trucks, because that's really what gives these a good look. And I'm going to grab something. This unit as a good deal because the front end of it had a little bit of damage and the hand grabs are a little busted over. And it was already a weathered unit, so I was going to do a little bit of weathering on it to make it look like it was really busted up. But, I mean, this one has rust on it, and look at the trucks. They're just perfect. They're highly detailed. They're nice and crisp. And they have perfect coloring. They match the fuel tank exceptionally. And you look at this thing, and they're just plastic. Just cheesy plastic. And, I mean, the silver oxide on this is what it is. It's kind of wonky. But the smokestack, diesel exhaust port here, cheap plasticky looking piece of crap. Actual, like, rust diesel smoke looking exhaust. And slightly different shade on my other one I got here. I mean, they took the time to make sure those really had that nice rusty diesel smoke covered exhaust port. Way higher quality on these older ones than the new one. Same thing with the new turbines. And this one really pisses me off. These were like $265 or something back in the day. And that new one cost $275, and we're not even getting an upgrade. Like, the stuff's going backwards, and they're charging you more money. Like, I understand if you're going to charge me more money, but it damn well better be just as good a quality as the old ones. Same thing with this. This is an endgame engine. This was an endgame engine for me. I have wanted one of these since I first saw it, and I thought they were gorgeous. And when I got this one, it was. I was so excited with the quality. Excellent detail on the trucks. I mean, they are just perfectly put together. They've got a nice metallic finish. You can see it in the light there. They shine. They're beautiful. This thing is perfectly put together. Notice dim, dull looking trucks. Resiny, plasticky looking crap. $300 some odd dollars for this thing, and they couldn't go through and paint the trucks. And the worst thing of it is the old images that they had as advertisements for these were painted up just like that one. They looked gorgeous. But when you go to the tab now and you click the new run of these, they show engineering drawings. They don't actually show you an image of it because they know they are selling you an inferior product and they're charging you a bunch of money for it, and nobody's saying anything about it. Scale Trains is not living up to the quality standards that they set for themselves, and I'm pissed off about it. And I think everybody should stop buying their product until, one, they're honest about it, and two, fix the problems. Because I haven't put enough time onto this to see if the decoder is going to work properly, as I just short out my system. But I mean, it's been working great. Like, I've been running it on a 12-inch radius, and it's been doing really good. It's not really built for that. It kind of makes it look a little bit weird. But you can't show me the previous version of that, charge me more money, and then put an inferior product together, and then not show any pictures of it on your website. Go there right now if you don't believe me. Pull up the turbine. Click the old one. You'll see that beautiful picture they take where they have it with a background. They do professional lighting, and it looks like a real engine. Has the nice painted trucks. Everything on it's perfectly put together. You go to the new one where they're charging you more money and just an engineering drawing, so nobody can claim it's false advertising or anything like that. Utter garbage. Those things should be put together with the same quality standards that the previous run had, and same thing goes for the Dash 9s. I am fed up with Scale Trains. Their quality standards are going down the toilet, not only on things they're putting together, but their electronics. I realize ESU is kind of top of their game right now, but I'm having huge numbers of failures. And frankly, nobody's saying anything about it. And I don't understand why. I don't know if everyone just wants to get scale trains to sponsor them or send them free engines. I don't know. But I'm done with this, so I don't give a shit anymore. They need to start putting together a better product for everybody, and I think everybody should stop buying their stuff until they do. At least they need to admit that, okay, we had to take a step back on some things because it was costing too much money, and at least be honest about what you're buying, because you don't get to see production pictures of these. And I think that's really dishonest. Same thing goes for the Dash 9s. When you go look at their picture, you can see the previous run, and yes, the brake tubing, it does look like resin, but the trucks are nice and shiny and well put together. But you go to the new runs with the current road numbers, just engineering drawings. You can't actually see the engine you're buying before you do it. So full-on boycott of scale trains till they get their shit together, in my opinion. And quite frankly, take your money to Broadway. They are putting together some excellent engines. Not to mention the stealth stuff's coming out pretty soon, so you might even be able to put your own decoder in it. That's what people have been bitching and moaning about for the last 10 years with those guys, is they want to put their own decoders in it because they think the Paragon 3s were pieces of crap, which there were certain situations where I would agree with that. The later gen ones seem to work pretty good, and these Paragon 4s have been absolutely bulletproof for me. So if that's your issue, imagine slapping your own decoder if you want an ESU or a TCS steam system. Slap that in the big boy, and you are going to have one hell of an engine. Also, I think they got the 444 coming out in the Stealth Edition. That's going to be sweet. The Paragon 3 was one of my favorites. I wish I was going to keep doing this, but I just can't afford to keep dumping money into these things because I'd like one of those. But I really tried to make a go of this review thing. But when I got to spend $500 to do a review and then have issues, and then I need to do reviews on the other hand, so I got to spend $500 more, and then I have an issue with those, and then I got to spend a couple $100 more to get another engine. So I get thousands of dollars tied up to get a review done, when I was kind of doing this thing where I bought an engine, I sold it, I'd buy another, I'd sell it, I'd buy another, I'd sell it, so I could kind of keep my review process going. Well, frankly, the high-end stuff has been failing me more than the cheap stuff, and it's been slowing down my review process to the point where I just can't afford to do it anymore. And because we are looking at making a move, and I need to start saving money to purchase this new house, I kind of got to say goodbye to a bunch of my engines and kind of let this hobby be a lesser part of my life, because it has been taking up a huge portion of my time, and I was really hoping that I could make a go of this, but without some manufacturer support, I just can't do it. I can't get review units in. I can't afford to keep doing this. So this is kind of why I've been gone for a while. I ran out of engines to review that were functioning. I have some Athearn engines that I'm waiting to get fixed that have been taking forever. I've got a couple of Atlas ones that are just driving me nuts because I can't get a decoder to work in the dang things. I have a Kato that I've been trying to get going. The charger that I've been struggling with. I got a lock sound in it, but I've been trying to get a light board to function as the light on the side, and I've been trying to get that done, but funds have been tied up, so I haven't been able to get it done. And there's the Bachmann charger, which for $300 people should be going elsewhere because they're really not that good. Frankly, I guess here let's do a quick few reviews while everybody's still watching, just so we get some stuff out there. I'm going to go through my list of engines that I haven't got done, just give you my thoughts because I'm not going to get to them. So right up top, I got some Broadway F7s, absolutely great, 100%. I got an AB and then an AB set where one's a dummy. All of them are excellent. They all perfectly speed match out of the box. Just freaking awesome. Go buy some. Especially they got a new run coming out. I think those are going to be cool. You can add more units to your collection if you are doing the whole road number thing. Kato F units. I had some Milwaukee roads. I am a Montana resident. I'm about 60 miles north of Great Falls, so there's an old Milwaukee road depot down there, so there's some history in my area. I picked up some Kato F7s. You've seen them a little bit on my channel if you've watched my clips. I have been waiting to get some decoders for those, but I've been running them on DC on my upper loops. They've been a whole lot of fun. They've been great, as well as the Kato ones from my starter set. I was going to kind of run them as kind of a funny consist. Bulletproof, can't go wrong. Excellent pulling power because they're nice and heavy. Also, the pickups on them are really reliable for a, 2 instead of 3 axle locomotive. So really pretty awesome. There is a Broadway electric unit that I just don't have anywhere to run. It was just something cool. It was a Great Northern. I wanted something kind of a talking piece on my layout at some point. Works great on wider radiuses, not really a tight radius type unit, but pretty cool. Has kind of a neat sound system, and it pulls. It pulls. What else we got up there? Talked about the Bachmann charger. Excellent TCS decoder. The Keep Alive actually works pretty cool in some circumstances, but it doesn't save you from dirty track. One thing about the Paragon 4s is even on dirty track, they maintain a really good contact with your DCC system. I think the Bachmann charger relies too much on that Keep Alive, and you get onto just some dirty track and try to send it some different signals on the DCC system, it gets all confused, and it just ends up, you got to shut the system down and come back on. So, cool system, needs some work. Keep Alive system in any system, is going to be really cool. I think that's something that we need to really move towards in the N-Scale ecosystem. It would really help with dirty track, but we do need to get how it communicates with the system working a little bit better. I got an electric, I forget the AC, the electric charger, whatever it is, the Simons from Kato. Been playing with it on DC. Honestly, I'm going to say I'm not really excited about it. It's had some hiccups, and it doesn't like any sort of finicky track. Not to mention, it's not really excited about super elevation, which being a Kato on Kato track, I thought it would be a little more okay with. The Kato charger, on the other hand, the new one, the AC 42 or whatever it is, freaking awesome. It total change from the P42, total frame redesign. I had to do a little modification to get a speaker that I had in there functioning. Took a file to it. It's kind of a pot metal frame. Opened up the gap a little bit, but one of the first sound-ready Kato locomotives, and I hope that is a trend that I see from Kato more often because it is excellent. It has excellent pickups, and I can't recommend it more. It is, even with a lock sound decoder installed, probably $80 cheaper than the Bachmann AC44 or whatever it is. I realize they're two different models, but definitely would go with Kato over the Bachmann, mainly on price considerations. But both do some really cool stuff, to be honest with you. The light system on the Bachmann is, probably not worth an extra $80. I forget what, SP40D, whatever, my Amtrak one I got, has a TCS decoder in it. It's heavy, it pulls like a tank, it's awesome. I was glad I got a deal on it. The SB40s, those Amtrak ones, are just something I remember as a kid. And, 100% go buy those every day. Got a couple new P42s. I slapped TCS decoders in them, been running them. I got one of those Operation Railroad ones just to have something. It's cool. Probably going to sell some of my other more standard ones. But yeah, awesome. Let's see, I have not got to my project where I'm going to start working on the RST-15s, making them my own personal railroad thing. I wanted to do that. I think I am going to hang on to those and do that in my own time. I think they're excellent switching engines. Again, Broadway has come out with some awesome stuff, and those are up there with the greatest engines that they put out, so go pick some of those up. I've been doing a project with a Kato SD40-2, where I've been trying to make a Digitrax decoder work a little bit better, and frankly, TCS decoders just outclass them in everything. They just function better. And so, yeah, that is what it is. Now, I have 3 Athearn FP45s, just off the top of my head, sorry. I got a Santa Fe and then 2 Great Northerns. I had an issue with one of my brand new Great Northern ones, and I had to get it fixed. I've been doing some testing, and I'm just not a fan of the decoders on those. They really don't run as smooth as I'd like them to. They're really heavy engines. So they pull well. The sound is pretty good, but they're kind of an old design. There's a lot of the frame that you see that doesn't need to be there. A little bit of cowling or something around it could make it look a little bit better. They just look cheesy and they charge too much. Frankly, they're a pass in my opinion. I'll probably sell all of mine. And then yeah, when you're using the Soundtrax decoders, there's some things you got to go through to get stuff to speed match properly, and they're just a pain in the butt, and avoid them. They're just not worth the hassle. Dash 9 NS with the standard cab from Scale Trains, kind of just ranted about them, but God, they're awesome looking. They're kind of an oddity. You don't see them very often, so I was really excited to get it. But yeah, I mean, they're cool. I hope the quality's good for everyone else. I wish it was a little bit better. I think the trucks look plasticky on it too, but they're blacks. They're a little less visible. I found an older Dash 8 Canadian National from Atlas. I slapped just a regular TCS decoder in it. It's the version 1 DCC ready. It does not have any of the problems that the version 2 DCC ready ones have. It's nice and low to the ground. You don't see the gears on the trucks. It's well put together. It's quiet. It runs awesome. If you can find a version 1 DCC Atlas, I think they're worth getting. Normally I'm a little skittish of those, but that one's really been awesome. What else did I get? Oh, I picked up an Atlas SD60E. I had really been wanting one of these. I picked one up a while ago. Dead on arrival. Didn't work. Ended up having to send it back, and then I got my money tied up in some other things. I found another one. I was kind of like I think it was the police one with the 911 on it or whatever. I'm not real excited about the paint job, but I wanted to test it. Piece of frickin' crap. It's got a ESU decoder in it, but it's like the Atlas version. It's more like a version 4. Terrible pickup issues. I slapped a version 5 decoder in it. Thing worked flawlessly, so I think the new run's probably going to be pretty good, but the older ones are garbage. There's something about those version 4 lock sounds that are a little more finicky with their pickups, and the pickup system on that one just isn't good enough for that decoder, in my opinion. Anything else that's new? Just looking at my engines over there. I picked up a couple of Atlas Montana rail links. They're SD35s. I'm just going to keep them DC. The other thing I got was an Intermountain SD45 Montana rail link. I picked it up as kind of a repair job. It doesn't really work very well. If I can't get it to function properly, I'm going to turn it into a dummy engine, because I have 2 of the Montana rail link Kato SD70s pre-ordered. I'm going to slap some lock sound decoders in those, and I am going to put together one of those awesome Montana rail link helper sets that you see. I don't know if you haven't checked those out. Get on YouTube. I think it's Mariah's Pass. They got this big sweeping, it's over in like the Helena, Missoula area in Montana, but it's this like bridge that turns a corner, and they run coal trains through it and stuff, and they always have these helper sets, and occasionally you'll see 4 SD70s, the Montana Rail Link ones pushing through, but occasionally you'll see SD70, SD45, SD70, and that's kind of the contest I'm putting together. And me being a Montana Rail Link guy, I just had to do it, so that's kind of a thing that I got planned. Maybe I'll show them off in a reel or something when that happens. But yeah, that's really everything new that I got other than what you see here. I'm going to be honest, I've been testing this thing pretty heavily. I'm a little pissed off that it's not as pretty as it should be, but it does function pretty well, if I'm being honest. So anyway, this is going to be my last video for a while. I'm sorry I can't keep this up. I started off really strong. I had a bunch of views on my reviews, like several thousand, and they just kind of started to taper off. Kind of like an algorithm shift, not really sure. But it shifted to where I was getting about 1,000 1,000 views per review, and I was happy with that. I thought that was pretty good for a guy starting out. And then about January or so, it shifted again, and I went from getting about 1,000 to about 200 views per review. I don't know what changed. I thought my quality was getting better. I thought I was providing some good, valuable information, but it is what it is. And the ad revenue isn't gonna offset anything, and so as of the 1st of June, I'm going to deactivate my my Patreon. I appreciate the guys that helped me out there. It's been a few bucks to help me get a little bit of rolling stock here and there. Sorry I couldn't keep this going. I am going to just stop putting out videos. I might do a short here or there if I get something new that I want to talk about, but I appreciate everybody watching my stuff, but just can't afford to do it anymore. So thanks for stopping by. Have a good rest of your week, and I will see you later.